I'd like to call this meeting to order with a quorum present. Meeting has been duly called and appropriate notice has been given. Welcome to everyone in attendance and those online. And I would like to, do we have anyone doing the Pledge of Allegiance?
Our kids that are here would be
Okay,
great.
come on, kids. Let's.
You're a student.
Oh, look at them. They're like, no, no way. We need a leader for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Come on. I nominate Nathan Litter.
We nominate.
Thank you, Lindy.
Thank you, Lindy.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That wasn't so bad, was it? I would like to introduce our newest school board member, Molly Morgan. Welcome. Molly. So Molly will be here in spirit only. She cannot vote yet because she's not sworn in because we're waiting on some military votes to come across the ocean. So Molly's prior experience, she was the executive director of the Mountain Home Education Foundation. She was a former ALE teacher, club sponsor, coordinator of Partners in Education program. She was on the higher ed board, experience at Ouachita Baptist, longtime resident and friend and major supporter of schools. And we just want to welcome you, and I think you're going to do a great job. I need an approval of the agenda and minutes of the February 15th, 2024 and February 29th, 2024 meetings.
I make a motion we approve the minutes from February 15, 2024 and February 29, 2024 meetings. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Reports and presentations. ACT Work Keys, Mr. Rose and Mrs. Camp.
Thank you. Thank you. Work keys, we first started talking about this, and we mentioned it last board meeting last summer. Ms. Russell talked a lot about the work she had in mind to do with ACT Work Keys assessment along with the ACT assessment. She did what she said she was going to do. We had several kids complete that test, and as the process went on, Ms. Camp here also has been very involved in the ACT Work Keys study and learning more about it and getting involved to the ACT Work Key community ties. And she's got a lot more information to present on that, but we want to show a little bit of data from our first round of Work Keys. And she's going to turn it over to her, and she's going to kind of explain a little more about that and the Work Keys community.
So I started this process last year being very scared of Work Keys because I didn't know what it was. But I've dug my feet in and figured it out. And basically, in a nutshell, we all recognize what ACT is and the validity of ACT for a student who is on a college track. The same testing company has made a partner or a flip of a coin assessment called Work Keys that is geared more towards a career aptitude test. It's a national career aptitude test that is recognized all over. I'm not going to go through and click on all the links, but when you go back and look at this fabulous presentation later, I put a link in for Arkansas, and you can see that North Central Arkansas is a bubble of not having many business partners that have bought into this yet. Eastern Arkansas, Central Arkansas, Western Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas. So I said, well, let's fix it. How can we start getting businesses to recognize this certification for their employees so they get a better return on their investment, so they know who they're hiring? So that is how this process has started. So we started it and Work Keys is consistent of 3 tests: applied math, graphic literacy, and workplace documents. I can tell you I took the practice test for applied math while watching a bit of TV, so I don't know how much attention I was paying to it, but I didn't do very well. So it's rigorous. It is not something to just check the box and move on. I administered the test yesterday to a cohort at Guy Berry. We had students that took up to 3 hours to test and still didn't finish and had to finish today. Wow. So it's not something that's very simple, but applied math is going to be looking at things like figuring out amortization rates on a mortgage. One of the applied math questions was how many milligrams of vaccine to give to someone whose weight was in kilograms. Lots of things that are above me. Graphic literacy is being able to look at charts and graphs and data and interpret that data and make it applicable to your workplace. And then workplace documents would be things like those lovely brochures and instructions for the IKEA bookshelves put together that we all have trouble reading. So very practical information that we're asking the kids to do. So here's where we are right now for the current certification opportunities. We gave all juniors at the high school the option to take ACT or Work Keys or both. So our first cohort of Work Keys test at the high school was on February 28th, and I have that data for you in just a minute. We have another group on April the 10th, and like I just said, we had all juniors and seniors at Guy Berry take this test yesterday, some did today, and there's a few that are still absent that will be taking it after spring break. So you basically have the opportunity to earn 4 different levels of certification, ranging from bronze to platinum, and you have to score a minimum level of 3 on all 3 of the assessments. So if you score a 6, which is a platinum, or a 7, which is like platinum plus, but one of your areas you score 3, then your certification is a bronze. So it defaults to your lowest area of certification. So it is quite rigorous. So knowing those levels, I think, will make sense to you when I show you the data in just a second. So at the high school, we had 35 kiddos for Work Keys only, 36 opted to take both, 71 total. And then we had 25 total for Guy Berry, and that would be if they were all there on assessment day, so our numbers are a little bit different. But for our first group of 34 kids at the high school, we had 23 of those students earn a certification, which is tremendous because they walked into this test with about a 30-second blurb of what it was. So this is true raw data of what these kids' aptitude currently is. We had a student score platinum, which is the highest level you can score. When I talked to Ms. Russell about this kid, pretty cool that this kid scored what he did, because I don't know that this is a kid that gets celebrated in a lot of other areas. So we are looking at how do we celebrate these guys and girls, what can we do to honor them, the sky's the limit. You can do cords for graduation, you can do an honorary breakfast, you can do a meeting before you guys, but we will definitely do something once we get this next group through. Our Guy Berry kiddos, we had 18 students test, so you can see those results, but I wanted to point out that 3 students who did not receive a certification missed it by less than 2 points, which is 1 question.
Oh, man.
So I talked to Jeff, talked to David, talked to Mr. Rose. I said, okay, what can we do better next year? The state allows kids to test in the fall and the spring. The state pays for 1 implementation. So let's test these kids in the fall, and let's see if we can write a Perkins grant or find some funding, get them into the curriculum, give them the knowledge, and retest them again in the spring. From our meeting at Guy Berry 2 days ago, I believe, with the Industry and Manufacturing Board, we already had 2 businesses in our area say yes and then. So that is our goal, is for these businesses to recognize these and honor them, and it can just be, hey, we want a bronze certification, or it could be a financial incentive. The sky's the limit with that. So step 1 was complete. Mr. Rose and I, along with some others, Danny Pugsley, April Bentley, the Director of Workforce Development at ASU Mountain Home, we all attended the Work Keys boot camp. It was a little bit overwhelming, but we trudged through just to kind of wrap our head around how do we roll this out to our community. Step 2 is starting to grow our business partners. So being face-to-face in front of them and explaining to them what this is and what the benefit is to them as an employer. Getting these certifications out in the public and sharing it, and then growing the curriculum piece with our students. We want to give them the best foundation we can, and then just keep growing it for our students for certification. We are discussing having all juniors take this at the high school next year, and also possibly tying it into our internships or our work study program, that before the kids are eligible to participate in those, maybe this is something that they have to do. So all those conversations are happening, and we're super excited. The career correlation certifications is a really neat feature. You can go in and type in or click on any industry, and it's going to tell you what certifications you should look for. But the flip side of that for our kiddos is they can put in their scores, and it tells them what jobs they need to look for. So all the legwork's been done for us. It's great. This is the same presentation I'm sharing with all the businesses, so all my information is there because I want them to sign up. So if you own a business, you may be one of the first few to volunteer to participate with us in honoring this with you.
Get in early, right?
Your kiddos, right? Get in early. It's going rate's really cheap. So we just thank you for the opportunity. We just wanted to share that we are super excited that with the rollout of this brand new assessment and us not knowing what in the world it was, we've got kids already certified and qualifying and being able to take that and move on. So thanks.
Very good, thank you.
Ms. Camp, quick question, if you don't mind. To draw a parallel to ACT, we have preparatory courses to get ready for the ACT. If I went to take the ACT cold, I wouldn't do very well. Are there preparatory courses,
Yes.
classes for the work keys as well?
There is. There's actually an entire curriculum that lasts a semester that we are implementing however we can next year in whatever class it will fit in. But yes, they've provided a ton of prep information for our kiddos.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any
If
other
I can
questions?
say, I was at the advisory board meeting, and I'll just be honest, I went with very low expectations. But it didn't take no time, the folks at Guyberry, the administrators, all the people that put it together, I'm glad I listened before I spoke. And then I've just got to say, Ms. Camp knocked it out of the park. That the relationships that we are building with people like Baxter Lab and things like that, that are going to talk to their HR departments, to look at this, to look at if we can provide students that have good attendance, that have, you know, a diploma, have these things, they can get a step when they get hired. Or which, everybody's going to be a little individual at the different businesses of how they can do it, but it's a true partnership. First off, we had a dialogue, which was awesome. But you knocked it out of the park, and I think this is something that, not just for Guyberry, but for the entire district, is gonna be it's massive.
Yep.
It's-
I say it all the time. This is
You
what we
can't
do.
say enough about it.
Right.
Start planning.
This is what we do. I mean, our goal is to educate kiddos and have them be successful adults. And this is just one more tool in the toolbox to help them on that path.
Excellent,
Thank
thank
you.
you for all your hard
Thank
work.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. All right, Stetson Painter, our state representative's got a little presentation for us.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Move this to the side here. Superintendent Dewey, President House, school board members, it's an honor to be here tonight. I appreciate, number one, what you do. Also, number two is for filming this online, because as much as I travel, I can't come here all the time, but I do watch it faithfully online. And so I do appreciate what you do. Also, Superintendent Dewey, appreciate our meetings that we have, keeping us up to date and all the great things that you're doing here. I'm here tonight to present a citation, a good citation, by the way, to a gentleman that's my friend and a real leader and a mentor to hundreds of students that have come through Guyberry. That's my friend, Jeff Kincaid. If I can, I want to read it. It says, citation, Mr. Jeff Kincaid, whereas Arkansas is blessed with outstanding educators who have devoted their careers to providing an excellent and well-rounded education for our Arkansas students. And whereas Mr. Jeff Kincaid joined the staff at Mountain Home Public Schools in 1995 as a teacher and a coach. Throughout his 29-year career, Mr. Kincaid served as a junior high assistant principal before establishing and managing the Guyberry College and Career Academy Alternative Learning Environment in 2011. In the last 13 years, Mr. Kincaid has been a dedicated and decorated alternative educator. His creativity in programming and his ability to foster relationships with students who need a different approach set him apart. When he sees former students, he says the most rewarding part of his job is seeing the ways they have grown. And whereas Mr. Kincaid is to be applauded for the steadfast, devotion career to promoting excellence in education and high level of student performance, his merits of recognition for his leadership skills, contributions, student achievements, is striving to be a better, positive influence on so many lives. He has demonstrated his commitment to education and interest in shaping the engaged and inquisitive minds of the students throughout his years as an instructor. And whereas the House of Representatives of the 94th General Assembly of the State of Arkansas takes great pride in recognizing Mr. Jeff Kincaid on his retirement and wishes him well. And now therefore, pursuant to the motion of Representative Stetson Painter, the Arkansas House of Representatives directs this citation to be presented on this day, the 30th day of June, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Painter. Okay, Youth Art Month. Oh, gosh, Jeff, I'm sorry.
We want to
Sorry,
Now,
I'm sorry. You're a man of very few words. I've known you a long, long time.
Very humbled, very honored. God's always blessed me to have really good staff and given me the wisdom to stay out of their way. I want to thank Stetson, not for just this, but the things that he's working with us at Guyberry to help. And everybody needs to know this about Stetson Painter. He's working real hard for Arkansas, but he's also working real hard right here for Mountain Home and kids and trying to help us with some very, very urgent needs, not just in Mountain Home, but across the state. Thank you, and I'd like to thank the board for having the faith in me to start Guyberry and get started. And Ms. House, you forgot, she was also the ALE State Teacher of the Year.
Oh, gosh, I don't feel good, I'm sorry. Molly, yes, she was.
Because he got out of the way.
Oh, well, okay, we are looking for a replacement there, so, anyway, thank you, Jeff, and I'm sorry I cut you short. Okay, so now we'll move on to Youth Art Month, MHHS art teachers. My favorite time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Christy Lawrence. I'm one
Thank
of
you.
the art teachers at Mountain Home High School Career Academies, and we have our art family. We have several here. We had some, and we had kids that couldn't make it tonight because of the weather. So
Yeah.
I apologize. It's me talking to you and not our art club president. But we have Steve Hargett, who's also at the high school, who's here. We have Libby Posey, who's at Pinkston, and Isabella Ferris at Nelson Wilkes. And I think that was all that couldn't make it tonight. So we do have some art students here as well that if they want to, they can say a few things. So this is Youth Art Month. March is Youth Art Month, and we love coming to you guys to celebrate. And this has been a tradition for decades that we provide the school board with some artwork from our students. So you will be getting cards tonight that have images from each one of our buildings, and some of those students are here that created that artwork. Now, the young lady you see on the slide is Ella Dover. She, as you may have seen, was the recipient of the Thea Foundation Scholarship. She is our art club president. She's the one who contacted me about an hour ago, said, Ms. Lawrence, this weather's a little scary, don't know if I want to drive. So I was like, that's okay, we've got it. So she is a very vital part of this, and she's helped with a lot of these ideas. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So with Ms. Ferris's student, Lawson Lewick, he is here this evening, and he has created this beautiful piece of art, Bridge Through the Mountain, and he's in 2nd grade. So Lawson, is there anything you would like to say? Here he is right here. Anything you'd like to say about
No.
Well,
No way.
You and your family are here tonight, so very good job. Good job.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And we know Miss Ferris is doing awesome things at Nelson Wilkes. She has been on fire, and she has an event coming up on March 28th, and we know she and her students and their families would love to have you join them on March 28th. So that is their art walk, and you can see some of the artworks that her students have produced. So just so proud of her and her students. Going on to Hackler, we have Bentley Rechtenwald, and I don't think he's here this evening. But he has produced this piece, Ice Cream Sundae, which you'll see in the pamphlet. Mrs. Jackson is his teacher. We do have Lauren Douglas with us this evening. Lauren's back here. She's just going to stand and wave. This is Mrs. Norcross's Mrs. student from Hackler, and she produced this beautiful piece called Roses.
That's beautiful.
Colored pencil and pen, and I'm just really, really pleased. I'm really looking forward to seeing these kids when they come to high school. And so we got a lot of things going on at Hackler. Hopefully you were able to attend their art show that happened last week, and you can see these are some great pictures from that. A lot of work went into that, and I'm so pleased with the outcome that they had with that, the turnout for the people. We have from Hickston Middle School, Isabel Tilley. This is Mrs. Posey's student. Yes. She's very proud. Has this beautiful watercolor piece that you see in their cards, brochure. Now, Ms. Posey has produced these links, and you can find these at the Pinkston newsletter, right? On the Pinkston newsletter. And so when you click on these links, you can see fabulous works. And go through all of them if you can. I was blown away when she first shared this with me, but she put a lot of work into this, so I want to congratulate her for doing that and for taking the time to really feature our student artist. We do have Cicely Gettler here tonight. Do you want to say anything? No? This is one of Ms. Helgeson's students from the junior high, and she produced this fiber piece. Amazing. If you've ever worked with fiber weaving, you would really appreciate the time for this design and for all the symmetry that went into that in the planning. So just a very beautiful piece. My student, she
Wow.
I think was one of the ones that couldn't be here because of the weather. This is Kylie Rain's work. Kylie won second place in 10th grade art in our Northeast region with this work, and so you'll see her graft enlargement of the kitten, of the kitty cat that she had there, featured on your card.
What? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What is graphite exactly?
It's pencil.
Okay. And
It's a-
enlarged means?
Well, she had a photograph of her pet, and so these students had to take a photograph, and they had to do a graft enlargement. So we talk a lot about ratio
Gotcha.
and a lot of math is thrown in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And so she did this from a small photograph and enlarged it.
Wow, that big.
So it's a pretty nice piece, and hopefully you'll see it at our Fine Arts Fest. We do have Ian Heron here tonight. He's a junior, and he's Mr. Hargett's student. So Ian is going to say a few things.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Ian. I'm a junior at Mountain Home, and I don't really have much on my mind, but I'd like to say a couple things about art. The fact that it makes me feel like I can express my thoughts and feelings through a way that I can't explain with words, and I feel like everybody can use art as an outlet for any form of emotional display.
Absolutely.
That's about all I have tonight.
That's good enough. Thank you.
Real proud of you, and I had him in Art 1, and he's very talented. So just a few things about what our art department's been doing across the campus and across our district. Mr. Hargett and his students and the Summit Art Club, they produced this huge mural you might have seen in the gym for the Boom Squad. And so if you haven't seen it, make sure you do. That was a piece from our art kids, so I'm very proud of that. Our art club, we do volunteer at the food bank, and this is a picture of some of them working on that assembly line when we were putting these boxes together for our community. Empty Bowls to Feed the Hungry was an incredible year this year. 10th annual year, thanks to Mrs. Ivins who started this. If you have not seen, I'm sure you have. Get to the next slide. We raised over $57,000 for the food bank, so I just got really excited. And you can actually see Ian's photograph. He was our second place ticket seller in Art Club, and so he got to have a prize. So those were our ticket winners that you see at the bottom. So such a huge event, and I saw several of you there. I appreciate your support, and I was glad that you were able to get tickets and come in. We were just so glad to share those with you. So hopefully that will continue. We also wrote a grant and received the grant to have travel paid for and our subs paid for to allow our art club students to go to Crystal Bridges this last fall. We had a really nice day, so really got to see a lot of good things. This is a competition that just took place. You can see it just finished, and we have in bold our winners from the Northeast region. So this is at ASU, and this encompasses from Mountain Home all the way to West Memphis. Wow. So it's a huge region. We are on the very, very edge. So proud of these kids. That's just a little bit of all the work that they've done. And this is Ella's work down here, by the way, that won second place in the region. Really nice.
Is that for sale?
Well, you can ask her.
Okay.
And, you know, there'll be an art show. You can ask her. Going back to AYA this year, Arkansas Young Artists Association, we've been members for many years. We usually have about 1,800 members from the state of Arkansas. These are 9th through 12th grade students that compete, and we all go to one place. And you cannot even imagine, unless you've been there, the thousands of artworks that are on display. It is incredible. It's an event that really not only promotes the arts, but it allows our students to have glimpses of opportunities that they have after high school, because we also have many representatives from colleges and from art institutes that are present, and a lot of scholarship opportunities here as well. And you can see there, last year we had Rachel Chamberlain and Ella Dover as our state officers, and this year we have two that are returning. Ella Dover is one of them, and Gracie Sikora is the other. So we have 22 members this year. Last year, Mrs. Ivins got the Patron of the Arts Award, so I had to share that with you. I'm really proud of her and all the things that she's done for our school. These were, since this happened after our presentation last year, I wanted to make sure you saw this. These were our winners. It's a really tough competition. And for anybody to place, it says a lot for them. But these are our winners, and you can see the things that they placed in. We got to tour Hot Springs, and last but not least, I want you to remember some things coming up. We do have our Fine Arts Festival in the gym, as we do every year, and it's going to be April 30th. I will be sending the invitation out for that from 4:30 to 7:30, and if you would like to inquire if the piece is for sale, we will make sure to get a note to the artist, because we have been offered that many times. Also, the Fine Arts Concentration Reception, we would love to have board members present. A few years ago, the Simons and I were the first ones to see this take place, and this is recognizing those seniors that not just have 3 years, but 4 years in one area of the fine arts. And so these were our visual arts students from last year, and these were our scholarship recipients, I'm sorry, from all 4 areas. So you are more than welcome. I'll send out an invitation. So that is our presentation. I'm going to give you your gifts for tonight, and our other art teachers, if I've forgotten anything, please let me know. This is a combination of all of the student work that you saw.
Thank you.
And in form of a greeting card.
That's nice.
Wow.
We do have,
These are
Thank you so much.
I love these.
I used mine
you're
last
very
time.
welcome.
But they're really pretty.
I love it.
I do have more than and then there's a few chairs. So you can see the things that we've gone through, and
You're going to send us a reminder?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Because,
ma'am.
you know, my
As
brain
always.
is pea-sized.
So if you
Yeah, I was going to.
did not get one, have more. But I do want to thank our students out here tonight and our art teachers.
Can I know y'all know I like Blake Shelton just a little. So this was brought to me tonight by Kara Jackson. And so I do have a little problem with him, but I'm going to take it to him at the end of the month and get it signed. I might give her a copy of it. We'll see.
Wow.
So we'll try.
Yes, Kira is very talented.
She is very talented.
Yes,
This
she's
is
in art 2,
Two.
She's in art 2 at the
wow,
market.
excellent. That was very sweet and thoughtful. Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Oh, you're very welcome. And you're going to get some more of me. So.
All right, we'll take it. We will take it for sure.
Am I doing okay on time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I am the department chairperson for the fine arts and the foreign languages at the high school, and I get to work with incredible people. My foreign language family, they are all here tonight, and we have Senor David Rodriguez, With Laura Shannon Westcoat, who teach Spanish, and then Francis, who teaches German, and then myself, Madame Lawrence, that teaches French. And we are really excited to be here for World Culture Month because we get to celebrate that in March every year. Oh, that was really slow, sorry. And I didn't say this when we talked about the visual arts, but I just want to say we appreciate your support more than you'll ever know. You know, we are reaching kids that in some ways they will never receive any recognition or they will never find their niche. And it's really neat to see these kids blossom in your class and find themselves, find their passion and find what they can do. Well, foreign language, I'm going to really thank you for the support of that as well. Just want to share with you again, there are so many advantages for people learning foreign languages. And if you've never looked at that data, I really encourage you, because I don't have time to do that tonight. Really look at that data, look at the effect that these students have, an increase in ACT and SAT scores, their involvement in community. But it gives them opportunities in their future that they otherwise would not have. And so I just wanted to put that in there to remind everybody the importance. So we do offer now 3 levels of all 3 languages. As of last year, this was our first year that we've been able to do that. We have started last year for the first year our first program of study. And so these are students that completed 3 years in one language, and we had a reception for them. They were able to wear honor cords. Their honor cords are the color of the native language's country. So we have the French flag, the Spanish flag, and the German flag represented on those cords. We also went to competition for the first time in many years. All 4 of us teachers are members of the Arkansas Foreign Language Teachers Association, and with being members, we were able to compete with a student competition. And last year it started at UCA for the first time, so we went back to UCA this last Saturday. These were last year's winners. I didn't have this for you last year, so I wanted to make sure you saw this. We had students that did very well. I had, I think they were all, do we have any, I think we just had all French students last year. But this year we had all 3 languages. And we were able to bring home some medals. And so these are the students that we took to competition. We had one student that sang a French song. We had students that were in the Culture Bowl, the students that were in vocab bees, students that had to draw. We had students that drew on the spot. So it was all related to a theme, learning languages anywhere is home. So again, that was last Saturday. Real quickly, just want to remind you, I know I talked about this last year, but we are taking our 5th trip to Quebec with Mountain Home, and that is this summer. And so we got our final dates. I know ours is June 18th that we are flying out, and we're going to spend a week in Quebec. And we have a group of 12. And just reflection on Quebec, we know that Quebec is the largest French-speaking, it's the largest province in Canada, but it's also the 2nd largest area of French speakers in the world. Montreal being the 2nd largest city. And so these kids are immersed in not only culture, but the French language. And so you can see we see a ton of stuff. We are busy, we're always going. We go to Montreal first, and we get to tour the old city. We get to tour a lot of the archaeological museums and a lot of the historic areas, some of the oldest places that in North America that are European-based. And then we go to Quebec City, which is this beautiful city on a bluff and has tremendous history behind it. I believe it was founded in 1608. And so this was our last trip, and we are looking forward to our next one. And so I'm going to turn it over to Cindy. I'll put it for you.
Don't you need a school board member chaperone? I think.
We all do.
Yes,
We all do.
I'll pay my own
We
way.
can send you that link as well.
Okay, yeah.
Bueno, buenas noches. Hola. And Senora Rascon and I and my wife are going to take 15 students this summer to Puerto Rico. And I made a more condensed presentation. We have a flyer or a scavenger hunt that our students are going to be doing in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is where I'm from. This is where I grew up. So I tell the students, let's go home. I want to show you what we do. We go to Old San Juan, we go to the rainforest, we do caving, we go to Fluorescent Bay, we have a salsa lesson, a cooking lesson. We stay very, very busy in this trip. We're leaving on June 6th, coming back on June the 12th, and I gave them this scavenger hunt that I just gave you as a way of them taking selfies and taking pictures, so that at the end of the trip we give them a prize. We do like to take as many kids as possible and some parents, and but this year we have the 3 adults and 15 students as of today. And yes, Ms. House, please join us.
I would love to go there.
Awesome
That's
to go.
close to Italy.
One of the things about Puerto Rico is we're not leaving the country, even though it feels like it. You know, so all federal laws, the dollar, cell phones, everything is going to be part like if they were here. But we are literally getting on a plane and leaving the country. So I'm very, very excited. This is our 6th trip, 4th trip with to Puerto Rico. And so we've been extremely excited to do this trip and to be part of it. And we leave in Arkansas red. That way we can identify them in the airport. We have a T-shirt, and you can see in that picture, we have a T-shirt for that every student gets, and we take a day where we take pictures with that shirt. A lot of neat things happened during this trip. This was our last trip. 2022, Mr. Tardif got to go with us, and it was just amazing to hear the stories and about it. So I'd like to answer any questions you may have about the trip, or if you have afterwards, you can see me. So thank you for letting us be here and letting us do these trips as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chris Francis. I'm the German teacher, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of a report. As you might remember, we actually went to Europe this past summer, and we took 22 of our students on what was a special trip for us because this was the 25th time that the GAP trip has happened, and it goes back probably upwards of 40 years. Thanks to the work of my predecessor, Nancy Reed, who had been doing that for decades and really set the groundwork for this. So we kind of had the opportunity to reinvent the trip this year. We had some unexpected changes, and so we sort of rebuilt it from the ground up. We did some things we don't normally do. We kind of zigzagged all over Europe, to be honest. We started out flying into Berlin. We spent some time there, and then we went across the border into Poland, spent an evening there, dropped back down into Germany again, and then made our way over to Prague in the Czech Republic, and then down to the capital of Austria, Vienna, and then to Salzburg, where we desperately tried to find the part where The Sound of Music was primarily filmed, and we just didn't have the time. It was a breakneck pace, but we had a wonderful time. The students were fantastic. I'm very proud of them. As you might guess, for many of them, this is the first opportunity for them to travel overseas, and not just that, but I mean across the pond, as they say, to Europe. Many of them have not been out of state. Most of them have not been out of the country. And so just really proud of them. They really immersed themselves while they were there. The GAP program is actually a true exchange where, as you probably know, the Germans come to us first. They stay and they embed themselves in the American families here for 2 weeks. And when we go over there, we do our little traveling component. And then when we're done, we arrive at our host city where they stay then with those same families for 2 weeks. So they really get the behind the scenes experience. It's not just hotels and restaurants. They really get to live with the family. They shadow them at school. They are completely immersed in the German culture, and it really helps them to build that cultural literacy that we're trying to build in them. So there's kind of a little map of about what we did. We flew into Berlin, kind of up in that yellow section there, and then bounced around from there. So it was an absolutely wonderful trip, and we thank you for your support, and just really appreciate the opportunity to take those kids over there. That is our group. Actually, that's our group from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but we have a lot of consistency. As you can see, they all go native by the end. They're all wearing the local garb and stuff. So it's just really a tremendous experience, and really builds some lasting relationships. I still hear from alumni who talk to me about how they're still in touch with their German counterparts, and they're still hanging out and stuff. So it's a wonderful program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for allowing us to present tonight, and I really appreciate your support. If you ever have any questions, you want to know more about our programs, don't hesitate to contact one of us.
Will we be doing fundraisers soon?
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for reminding
You're
me. Somebody said
welcome.
you better remember. Tomorrow night, French Club Chili Supper,
Mhm.
Mrs. Wegger's famous cinnamon bread. $5 a loaf. I kept some in my classroom in case you want to come by, so if you want to come by. But our kids could really use this. So it's $5 for a bowl of chili, water, and all the fixins and dessert. So it's going to be at Century 21 Lee Mack Realty, right across from Sonic and McDonald's. Tomorrow night, 4:30 to 6:30. Thank you for
You're
reminding
welcome.
me. My students are even saying, sorry, should you make sure you tell them? If you need this back or just leave it?
Okay,
Thank you all very
thank you.
much.
Anyone have anything to ask?
Thank you.
All right. Financial reports, Ms. Cotter, boy, you got some, something to catch up to there. Now, don't leave. Where are y'all going? It's storming, we'll let you go.
She's gonna try to make it interesting.
Thank you for coming tonight, thanks.
Thanks, Nate.
Dun-dun-dun.
Sure is quiet now.
Okay, we'll look at the statement of changes in fund balance for the month ending February 29th of 2024. We ended the month of February with $16,796,725.67. It was really pretty much business as usual. We're winding things down. Tomorrow is our deadline we've given for purchases and getting those POs in. We do have things that will go on for the remainder of the year that's typical, like our energy bills and things like that. And we do have some school projects that will require some attention before the end of the year, but we're trying to wrap all those things up.
What was the revenue in the building fund? 28,000, is that a reimbursable?
No, every month, I split the revenue that comes, or the interest from the bank that comes in
Okay.
between 2001 and Fund 3000. Any other questions? Okay, moving on to 2B1. This is the statement of revenue expenditures and changes in fund balance for the month ending February 29th of 2024. We had total revenues of $1,851,823.68, with total expenditures of $3,456,188.87. And if you remember last month, we talked about how they've changed up how they were paying our revenue with our taxes, and so we got that big payment last month, which made it look a lot smaller than normal for this month. So that's going to be spread out just a little bit differently than it has in the past. Next, we have our monthly operating balance, our fund balance tracking. We ended the month of February with $9,896,805.18, and that's where we look at funds 1, 2, and 4 combined. And then moving on, we have our statement of changes in activity funds, and we ended the month with all funds combined of $519,084.94. Then you have the following pages, our system reports that support this information. This is a system report for period 8, and then following this report is the period 8 check register, so you can see all the checks that were written for the month of February.
Anyone have any questions for Ms. Cotter?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
On the On the budget progress, your chart there, it shows the federal grants, the expenditures are more than the revenues. How is that? How does that?
Excuse me, where?
On the bar graph.
On the bar graph on 2B1, page 2B1?
It's all reimbursements.
So it's just all
It's just not
reimbursement.
here.
Yeah, it's all, yeah, all of that
Yeah.
is, you
Which
gotta
one were you
spend it
talking
before they
about?
give it to you.
He's looking at the budget progress federal grants funds, that our revenues are less than expenditures on federal grants. And I'm guessing that's because we still have some stuff that's reimbursable.
Yes.
This is more a
This is
question
it.
for the people that are watching on the camera, because they've asked me questions about this, so
Good
I just
question.
wanted to
Okay.
bring that up.
Good question.
Very good. All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter.
Thanks, Lee.
Student transfer update, Ms. Dewey.
We have 5 students into Mountain Home and 2 out this month, so.
It's a game.
3 in.
Another 3 games.
We're up
Plus
3.
3.
Plus
That's the lowest number so far.
It
Yeah.
is, it's slowing down, since it is the end of, it's 1st of March, end of February.
Yeah. Enrollment report.
Enrollment report, you'll see the enrollment report above. We are currently at 3,821 students, which is 10 up from last year, and that does support kind of the trend from last month. That does support the trend from last year of a slight increase from February to March.
Mhm.
Ms. Dewey, where those 10 come from? Right, we got 3 that came in, where are the other 7?
5 in and 2 out. Is that,
Well, yes, for transfers, but if I move in, I'm not a
It's just,
transfer.
it's just
Gotcha.
moving.
So we move people.
I'm
From
sorry.
out of town.
That's
I'm
how we
sorry.
went up 10
Five?
this month,
No,
from last
Or
month.
maybe I've
Or
come back.
up
two
10 from last
different,
month.
two different.
Maybe I've
Yeah.
come back from homeschool or something like that.
Okay.
So where did those, I see what you're saying, where
Where
did
did,
those
how
10
did we get
come
10 from last month, right?
Okay,
Plus 3 in transfers.
you know, I would love
Yeah,
to
that's
ask, principals, where have you gotten your new kids in the past? A little bit,
Our newest student moved here from Wyoming.
okay,
Okay.
there's one.
Cheyenne.
Miss Goodwin?
We had a family of 3, where did that come from? Texas, I believe. 3 from Texas.
Out of state.
Yeah, we got one from,
In high school, we got a Wyoming student.
maybe that's what it was. It was out of state.
So all out of state except for our flippin'
good.
kiddos.
And I didn't even need that level of detail. It was just-
But that's a
Yeah,
good question, I
yes,
think
ma'am.
that's interesting
Yeah.
to note. and
Good for
I-
our public to know also.
It is, and I
correct?
hadn't asked that this month, so thank you for asking. So out of state.
Wait till the apocalypse, they're all gonna move here. I mean, the eclipse.
The eclipse, they're gonna see, they'll see how beautiful this area is.
That's right. Okay, facilities update.
It is me.
It's you,
Mr.
Mr.
Chris
Knight.
is out tonight, so I did want to share Chris's information tonight about the following campuses that have their access control doors completely done. And that is kindergarten, Nelson Wilkes, Pinkston, Hackler, and Guy Berry. Junior high, I believe, will be live early next week, and we are ahead of schedule at the high school. Wiring is almost done or close to finished, and estimating that we will be fully finished by April, which I was originally told summer. So that is fantastic news. Eddie Helmert, our new, I always say this wrong, Safety and Security Coordinator, will be, today, he was supposed to do his walkthrough with Miss Jones. Did he come? Okay. With Miss Jones, and they were going to walk through all the campuses and do the required learns safety walkthrough, and he did that with SROs. You have to
Great.
have somebody from a different campus to do that, and that's one of his responsibilities, will be that state requirement. He did put out March 15th, following bids will be opened. He did open some today, I do know, but we'll be bringing those to the board for approval, possibly. Looking to make sure it's a good financial decision. Summer mowing is an example, high school cafeteria floor, removing that tile and polishing it, similar to, who has the polished tile? Kindergarten has some
Mhm.
polished concrete. HVAC replacement for high school counselors, their offices, that's where we've had a lot of leaks. Had quite a mess last summer in there. Pinkston Guyberry and indoor baseball complex parking lot ceiling, crack filling, and striping. He is on a rotation for those, and that is what is next. So we'll be bringing some of that to you all next month. Also going to ask you at the end of the night to think about a work session. And that work session, I'd like to talk about some upcoming facility projects for the summer.
And are these bids online?
Well, they were, but they're closed now.
Okay.
That was closed,
Okay.
so they were all sealed.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Dewey/Knight?
I'll do my best.
Nope. All right. Let us move into board action items. Request to approve fiscal year 24 budget adjustment, Ms. Cotter, 4.2.
Hello again.
Hello.
We have received notification of final allocations or even new funds that we have received throughout the year. So the attachment that I have provided are adjustments that we need to make in order to maintain proper reporting. So I'm asking the board tonight to approve the attached budget amendments for the 2023-24 school year. And there's quite a long list there.
Should we read them all? No. Well, unless you want to.
Whatever, however you like.
No. Well, up to the board.
If you want an
Pleasure of the board.
explanation of any of them, I can do that.
It looks like the vast majority of them are, we're receiving more money than we budgeted for, so.
Correct.
Is that right?
That's always
And
good.
if you look at the ELL Fund 2276, typically when we budget for the current year, we will budget whatever the amount was that we received the year prior, and they base the money that we get off of our ELL account in November. So sometimes we get more, sometimes we get a little less. So this year it was $366 less than we had gotten last year.
Ms. Cotter, the declining enrollment funds, that's the same thing, pretty much. We don't have as many.
Originally, in our preliminary allocations, they gave us that number of
They did give us that number.
121,431, and then upon final
Mhm.
revisions, it went down.
I mean, just taking that a step further, saying, hey, we actually didn't decline as much as anticipated, is that the way you can read that?
That's how you
or
would
is
read
it-
that. That's how I read that.
How I read that, because they based it off of AD.
Sure. So they anticipated a greater decline?
Yes, sir. So that, and we knew that because we do get there is a model out there of what our projected enrollment will be for the next 5 years, actually more than that. We have way more kindergartners than they thought we were gonna have, so.
So while that's a decrease, it's actually a good thing when you read beyond the number.
It is,
Yeah.
it is.
And although you did approve the grant, all the information that Mr. Rose had presented on the HIT grant, I went ahead and included that on that 6830, just as a reminder that we did get that $331,685 for the tutoring programs.
Very good.
Make a motion to approve the attached budget amendments for the 23-24 school year.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Might as well stay up there to request to approve ACH Bank resolution.
Okay. Anytime we need to make a change in this, we have to bring it before the board with a resolution. With the addition of Donna Harper to our staff, she is going to be able to begin on April 1st. And so we are looking at, different ways in our department that we can cross-train and just become stronger and more efficient. And so with her being in that business manager position, she needs the ability to do these bank transactions or transmissions. So that is what I'm bringing for you tonight. The only thing different than what you have approved in the past is that the addition of Donna Harper's name.
Make a motion, we accept the recommendation as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Salary schedule revision, Ms. Cotter.
You're in high demand tonight.
I get a job security, because that's what it is. Okay.
You're showing off, I know. For
No, I'm not. On the salary schedules that we brought to you last month, we had a clerical error. As you recall, on a couple of the schedules, it was approved with all the other schedules, and then it was taken back for a revision. And so inadvertently, the first one that was approved, not the revision from last year, was included in that packet. So this is to correct that so that the most current and accurate salary schedule is there. So I have attached for you 25B and 25C. The difference between what you had approved the first time versus the second time was adding that $2,000 across the schedule. And then on 25D, that was another column that the board approved for the $2,000. So all this is doing is making sure that we have the correct salary schedule. The second one that was approved last year is the one that we should have copied for this year. Then, since I've spoken to you last month, we have the information for the NJROTC instructors, and those have been updated on 25G1 and 25G2.
Very good. Any questions for Ms. Cotter? All right.
So I'm asking the board to approve the revised 24-25 district salary schedules that are presented tonight.
Make a motion to approve the revised 24-25 district salary schedules as presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Thank you, Barbara. We have any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Ms. Cotter, you may be seated.
Thank you.
Ms. Green, Ms. Dewey, request to approve contract service agreements 1.2 and 4.1. Good evening.
Good evening.
I come before you tonight in regard to our characteristics of dyslexia intervention program, which is part of our literacy response to intervention. And our teachers and staff have been working diligently at identifying the needs of students that are showing the characteristics of dyslexia. And so what we have attached for you, we are looking at the need for more interventionists to help provide the direct instruction for students within those dyslexia programs that we are doing in the Apple Connections program or the Susan Martin program, and meeting the need of the district RTI guidelines. And the recommendation that we have tonight, the agreements are to approve Kelly Conley and Kay Hollingsworth, which they are former Mountain Home Public School certified teachers, and they are already certified in those programs. And so do you want to show that, Kelly? I know they need to see there we go. So this is the agreement between the Mountain Home Public Schools and each interventionist that is attached, and it does state that it would be an agreement for the spring semester of the 23-24 school year, so that it would help us provide that support to finish out the year.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Make
I'd
a-
like, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I make a motion, we accept the recommendation as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions?
I did want to point out that Ms. Hollingsworth is also working with the HIT grant. So her salary, any contract services, we're going to be able, for part of the time, to pay for with the high impact tutoring grant, that $336,000. Mr. Roach is able to use 5% of that, and she's going to be able to do some other things too, but that is primarily what she's doing right now.
Do we have an average of how much hours that would cost? That's at the $55 per hour?
So it is 55 per hour. It is based on student need. I thought you might ask that, so I'll kind of give you an idea. Currently, with our contracted interventionists, they are seeing 37 students. And so if it is the Barton program, that is 2 hours per week for each child. In the Connections program, they can do small group, and that is 125 minutes a week. So it is based on student need. And then, of course, that could vary if, the interventionist is there, but the student is absent due to being sick or school activity. Our interventionists do try their best to make that intervention time up. And so those are the current ones that we see with the 4 contracted interventionists that we already have.
Thank you.
So they're both going to be working almost full-time to see that number of students for 2 hours per week, et cetera.
So the number that we have from
Right.
here to the end, if we need it. And of course, we do try always to use our school interventionists. And we're working around the student schedules, especially if, we don't want to pull from any core classes. And so we are trying to meet the need of the child, what works best for them. And so if we can't do that with our school interventionists, then that's when we start looking at these contracted interventionists. Because since they are contracted, their schedules vary and they work with what they want to do. And we are able to meet a lot of needs that way.
So the 37 students are being seen by 4 different
Yes.
interventionists?
Yeah.
So it's not,
Okay. It's not 37 per person?
No.
No, sorry.
Okay.
No.
We have 292
Ooh.
students receiving
No.
interventions,
No.
but no. So the 4, they split the 37.
Okay, I was trying to math.
So
was just
some
like-
work 4 hours a week, some work 10
Okay.
hours a week.
Yes.
I think some are working 2 hours, 2 days a week, is that right, with Ms. Hollingsworth? That's just an example.
Yeah.
It's just dependent on what they want to do and what they're able to do, and it helps us out a ton because of the flexibility in their schedules. Often work with what our kids need at certain times of the day, so they're not pulled out of core instruction like Ms. Green stated.
And some of these interventionists are also doing like through a Zoom session if it's a child that needs to be at home. Every building they're servicing, as well as we even have help with juvenile services, so we're working and tutoring them as well.
How do we determine who needs that extra?
So, of course, we go through our process with characteristics of dyslexia. So at K2 currently, next year it'll be K3, but we have our initial screening that we do, and then that goes into the intervention process where the committees decide based on that student data if they need to be placed in the intervention. If they're not making progress, then the committee would determine if they need a level 1 screener, which that meets like phonological awareness, spelling, decoding of words, language. So there is guidance from the state is where we're following that. Then a student will be placed in that dyslexia intervention. If they're not making progress at that point, they can have a referral for the level 2 screener, which is what myself and I know some staff we have trained in that as well, even a contracted interventionist that does that, and those are more of the diagnostic assessments that are more formalized. And so whether it's your informal screening or your formal screening, if the student need is there, we are by law required to provide intervention.
And what level are these?
The majority of these have been identified fully with characteristics of dyslexia, but we do have some that would be through the informal, because you can receive dyslexia intervention just based on your data. You don't necessarily have to have the full formal level 2.
Okay, so is that elementary?
Yes, this is all kindergarten through 12th grade.
Is the 200 and something, is that all elementary?
That's kindergarten through 12th grade. That's students
Okay,
district-wide.
so
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
8% per school.
I want to ask this question in a way that hopefully makes sense, and I'm not expecting an exact answer. So if we take all of our students with 1,000 hours of teaching, what percentage of, in hours, would be special needs teaching? Out of 1,000 hours of teaching, is 10% of that required with intervention, or a higher number than that, or do you understand what I'm
That is a tough question to answer tonight.
Yeah.
I understand that,
Just because my thought goes straight to, we want to individualize education, right? We want what every student needs, and so teachers within the classroom, they are providing intervention already, whether it's in literacy or math, so that would be like whether it's small group or one-on-one, that we're going with our intervention process. And then, of course, we can think of special services that Ms. Benton is over with, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech. That plays into it as well, and then also characteristics of dyslexia. And a lot of it we see in our students, it does go hand in hand. So they may be receiving characteristics of dyslexia, but as well receiving speech services or occupational therapy. So in regard to dyslexia, it depends, we're following the minutes required of the program or more. And so that could play into your percentage, but then also depending on what their individual plan state, whether it's a the 504 plan or individualized education plan, depends on what their minutes state, to be able to kind of come up with a percentage for you. I hope I answered that.
Well, on the
How
spot,
about-
that's
how about
pretty
go
tough.
This direction to, no, I mean, what percent of our students require? Not just the amount of time, I mean, that would be a whole,
Are you wanting to know about dyslexia or?
Special
or
services.
special
education?
needs. I mean, that would be way too
Special
complicated to
education
break them out.
students. What's the
Sure.
percentage?
We have 567 students right now, which is about 13.7%, I believe.
It's roughly 13.
The goal is to be under 10% of our population, but the needs are increasing.
Every year.
We're graduating fewer kids. I mean, don't.
Yeah.
That's all that is. Fewer kids that need special services are graduating out. They're graduating, but we might have 12 students with IEPs graduating, and this year we have about 40 preschool transitions coming in. So that has been happening consistently. So continue to see the numbers rising there. And also our referrals are staying around 100-ish referrals a year. So.
No, that's very good. So we're aiming at 10%. We have 13%. And we do achieve a student will not need intervention at some point, or?
Absolutely.
So
We
that's
do
a-
reevaluation conferences every 3 years, and we look at the students' data to determine whether they continue to need services or not.
So are we measuring our success? What's working, what's not, what's?
Yes. So we have quite a few more kids that are dismissed from speech services, which are a smaller group intervention and very targeted on the deficit. So a few years back, I looked at the numbers, and that was like about a 20% dismissal rate there. But we have worked really hard to make a few changes that we're hoping will impact that. And we continue to look at our programs to see how we can, since speech is dismissing the most, how we can model some of the support services that we're providing for students using that similar targeted intervention on the deficits. So I hope we'll continue to see.
You said 10%, so is that an achievable goal?
That is what the state has guided us to want to be at.
Okay.
But
So we
I
want to be
actually
at
done
9%
comparisons,
then, right?
I've done comparisons between multiple districts of our size, and there are districts that are up at 18%, and there were a few that were at 9 and 8. So I would say across the state, there's very few that are in that goal of 10%. We were right in the middle of comparison as far as districts our size.
Very good.
Answered my question, thank you.
Could that be, we're doing a better job of identifying students that have needs, so that we're actually better serving our students by having 13% instead of 10?
I think that could potentially be it. That may be what is
Okay.
occurring. I will say that we do a really good job with the early childhood and our transitions and identifying. Those numbers are pretty large that are transitioning. I think last year we had almost 60 kids at transition. So,
Okay. Right on the surface, right, if we didn't do as good a job of identifying, that percentage would come down, right? So we don't necessarily
Absolutely.
want it to come
Right.
down.
Right.
We want to identify it and provide
yeah,
those students what they need, so.
Ideally, you also
Right.
want to provide that tier 1 core instruction that is strong and our intervention process that is strong, and hopefully those things will reduce the number of referrals that occur.
Thank you.
And we do have students in that 200 number that Ms. Green told us that also are in Gwen's department as well. So we have some crossover there. So it's not 600 plus kids that we're talking about.
That's a very good explanation for being on the spot there, Bob. Good job.
That's awesome.
Any other?
I have no clue what we all just talked about, but.
Okay.
To add to that, some of these special needs, are we collecting what we can collect from Medicare's and everything else? Are we leaving money on the table by not identifying students that we could be paid from outside?
I can definitely speak to that.
Yeah, we're on top of that one.
So, actually, I think if you were to look, and Leah, you could probably also agree with this, but I think if you look at our reimbursements, the effort that our special education department has made in those reimbursements is pretty exceptional. Like, our catastrophic funding, which is the 2265, it shows it's in the negative right now because it's a reimburse at the very end of the year. But we expect that to be well over $200,000 that we as a department generate. So we work very hard, we file for that reimbursement. We also bill Medicaid, and just this past week have started working on getting denials from private insurance, which is a whole new gamut, so that we can bill those kids that have private insurance. We can get denials from them and bill the secondary Medicaid. So hopefully that will generate more revenue there. We also do another fund called RMAC, which is efforts that my department does. We put people in, and it's another reimbursable fund. And trying to think, catastrophic, Medicaid, RMAC, and then 6B is based off of our numbers.
If we put more effort into collecting, which I understand would probably take more money, more hours,
Really
would there be a benefit to that if we?
There really isn't another, like, we have just a very small handful of kids that have private insurance that we are not set up at this point to just build private insurance, like.
So you don't feel overwhelmed in your, oh, we gotta spend more time collecting and.
I don't even think if we spent more time, we could generate more revenue at this point.
Okay,
Like,
that was
I think
the
our
question.
folks are working and getting as much as we really could.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
They're already squeezing it for all it's worth.
Yeah.
I want every dime. I put a bolt on it.
Well,
Squeezed.
this
How many-
private
I would ask
insurance
a question.
denial piece
How
is the
many
next
of our
step.
special ed teachers are certified?
Okay, so, Jennifer can probably tell, I think that I have a chart. Do have a chart that tells me who is not yet. If I were guessing, I would say we have about 5 that are not right now.
Out of how many?
We have 28 or 29 teachers.
You have several who are far along in the process and really close to completing
Yes.
their license.
Yes, I actually, 2 this year became fully certified.
And they are all certified teachers already.
Yes, they're
They're
certified
just-
teachers.
They're
yes.
just
They're not
getting
certified in
certified in
special
special
ed.
education.
Correct, yeah.
We keep losing them.
Well, well, several have also went to gen ed and gen ed positions. So, that are fully certified in both areas. So that does impact.
Our special ed. Okay, thank you.
But I'll look it up and have you the exact number.
Okay.
Very good. Well, that just kind of exploded into a whole great conversation. Good conversations. Yes, you're done.
Thank you.
Oh, wait,
We didn't vote.
we didn't vote.
We have a motion.
Get back.
We have a motion.
Motion second. That was the discussion.
This was
Phew.
an action item.
All in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Now you may.
Thank you, Serena.
Ms. Camp?
You guys asked me those many questions, I'm just walking out. This is my first action item other than PPC calendars back in the day.
Oh, you had to bring that up.
I know, right? Those were good times, good times. Part of my additional duties this year have been taking over ESOL services, and federal law requires that those kids all receive an individualized summative education, or summative assessment at the end of the year. I had no idea what that looked like, because I've never done it before, but after digging in, figuring out, on average, it's taking about 4 to 5 hours per child. You can test some grade bands together, but it is very labor intensive. As you all know, we have a lot of different testing that happens in the spring, so I'm a little busy. So I have an action item for you guys to approve a contract with Marsha Partney, who's a retired teacher from Mountain Home Schools, to conduct that summative testing for our ESOL students.
How many do we have?
I believe right at between 35 and 40 actively served. We have 70 kids that are in monitoring status, but Marsha will be testing between 35 and 40. I don't know the exact number, I'm sorry.
And some she's doing as a grade band.
Yes, you can you can test first grade with kindergarten. Well, that doesn't work for our building, so, and also learn kindergarten needs to be one-on-one, because that's a lot. High school can all test together. So there are some cohorts that she can test together. Some she said have to break apart and test individually. We have one student at Nelson Wilkes who has severe cognitive delay, so he has an alternate ELPA assessment that I actually did that one last week. He got to hang out with me for a little while and played with my hair and gave me hugs. It was a great day. But other than that, asking that Marsha can do all of these for us to relieve some of the things on my plate.
Ms. Camp, let me ask a question so everyone understands. Can you tell us what the ESOL is?
English is a secondary English as a secondary origin language. And sometimes it's ESOL, sometimes it's ELL, sometimes it's EL. It's just the kids that come to us that on the home language survey, the parents say there is a language other than English spoken in their home.
Very good.
That's gonna get larger.
Yes.
We had, I think we had 11 kids join us in this program from January until now. So that was really a fun time of learning. But Ron was excellent to work with. Had a great time getting to work alongside of him with these kids and share his heart with these kids. Senior's gone, but we've implemented a session at high school with Senor Rodriguez, who's ESOL certified, that our kids that are in the most need of some extra help go to Senior's room for an RTI session every week. And it is so much fun when I get to pause my schedule and go hang out in there with those kiddos. I sat down with a guy who's here from China in 11th grade and knows about 2 words of English. But we were able to set him up on an iPad and get these instant translating headphones that if you ever go get your nails done, just call me and we'll see if we can find a pair. But he actually was able to crack some jokes with me through the iPad and the translation, and got to see his personality. And I tried to do some things on Google Translate for him, and he told me, Ms. Camp, you're Chinese bad. Like, I'm sorry, sorry. So, that's all sidebar. But action item. So, requesting you guys to approve this contract for Marsha.
Make a motion to accept the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you so
Unanimous.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. Board discussion. Does anyone have anything you want to discuss?
No. These guys are
Bob?
on it. These guys are on it tonight.
Yeah.
They
All of
are.
them.
Thank you for.
guys-
And so are the board.
Thanks for playing along.
Yeah.
It's so fun watching you guys in your element. You guys are so good. Like the
Yep.
professionalism, your love for kids, like just, yeah. it's
Make it
awesome.
all work.
It just
Yeah.
oozes
Thank you.
out of
Super fun to get to do what you love every day.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Ms. Smith for being here for her daughter Leah tonight, to watch her in big action. Hope we didn't bore you too much. Okay, good. But we have a great meal here in a little bit, so that'll be great. Any other discussion?
I was at an appreciation dinner last week for our aviation program, and a year ago this time, we were thinking about maybe doing it, or 2 years ago, whenever I first got on the board. Dr. Long said, this is something that might be good, and we partnered with Mr. Gage, who drove it, and just how it went from nothing to where it is amazing. So I sat at the table, I'm not going to mention any names because I didn't know everybody there and would forget some, but I sat with a gentleman and it's a couple, not from this community, no roots here at all. We're approached with the idea of we have the flight simulators, which we all seen, and said, yeah, that would be a good idea. I'll donate for that. And they're not cheap. Here's a man that, not from here, partnered with us and enabled us. He's leaving a legacy. So the partnership that's going on there with the community on just the finance, and then the grants that are, not the grants, but the scholarships that are happening. But as I looked at Doug Muir and Chief Williams, above and beyond. The program without those teachers would not be what it is without the partnership of the community. We really didn't do a whole lot other than say, okay, this is a good idea. It's not cost us a lot of money. So it was just a great experience. And you were there. I mean, everything I've said is.
Yes, sir. I think the gentleman you were talking to, he even donated amount for a full simulator.
Right.
He bought a whole simulator in his donation. So yeah, it's fantastic. Former serviceman.
We live in the greatest community in the world.
We do. It's a great community, and those partnerships, we should just acknowledge them and be thankful for them.
A lot of work goes behind those.
And the teachers, and what you all do is just, we appreciate it.
It doesn't go unnoticed, for sure, and the community sees it, and hopefully that brings more to us and makes more community members want to join the train. Yeah. Anything else? Molly, how's it going?
Hey, I'm in a good sleep tonight.
Yeah.
Great.
Get a little warm up.
It's good.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Wonderful opportunity tonight to honor our art department and foreign language department. Fantastic, just two examples of the fantastic things that we're doing in Mountain Home Public Schools. Mr. Kincaid, what more can we say? You're going to be missed. And of course, a special thank you to Representative Painter for attending tonight and presenting him with that award.
Is that the only citation you ever got? I know better. Don't answer that. Luckily, we know your dad. Yeah.
Lucky he knows his dad.
True. Anything else, ma'am?
I have just a couple more things. We do need to have an April work session. My plan would be a work session, probably start about 5:30, look at summer projects, possibilities. I'd like to have your input on prioritizing those. Then I'd like to share an overview of strategic plan surveys so our leadership team can get to work on that, make sure that that aligns with the board's goals in the future of the district. Then we'd follow that with an executive session. So I'm looking, a couple hours at least, starting about 5:30. I had April 4th or April 11th as possible dates. Would you all have a preference? If neither one will work, I could come up with a third.
I'm good on the
A
4th.
third date.
Either day is good for me, so. The apocalypse will be over, so that's good. And
The
then
4th or the 11th?
Easter's over.
Yes, sir. Either one is fine. Either one is fine.
I can do either one.
With me, I just need to know what y'all prefer.
Yeah, the 11th is better for me.
My wife tells me what.
All right, so we'll look at April
Your wife will tell
11th.
you?
Yes, she'll tell me if I can.
April 11th at 5:30.
April 11th.
We'll start at 5:30 if that's okay. We can start at 5, but I know some of y'all need 5:30, and that's fine. And then 5:30, 6:30, and then we'll start the executive session after that.
Okay.
Where am I on that? Huh?
Back to
I
the
think you
4th.
I think maybe I meant April 17th. I typed the
Uh-huh.
wrong thing.
Isn't
I'm
that
sorry,
our
guys.
normal meeting, 17th?
I tell you what, Will,
That's a Wednesday, the 17th, that's
good
fine.
catch, everybody. Good catch, my team over there. I will be at Indy, I will be at Dance Nationals. That is, I'm going to support ASU. So I am sorry about that.
What was wrong with the 4th?
Um,
Nobody?
4th, we've
I'm
got
out of town, but I'm
Scott's
just 1 of
out.
7.
Tuesday night? Does it have to be a Thursday?
The 9th,
Or is it 2nd, April 2nd?
yeah, on the 9th, I need to get on the 2nd. What about April the 8th?
Let's just do it April 1st.
What about April
April
8th? Oh,
Fools.
April 8th is the eclipse, that's why I
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
have that
gosh,
right.
no,
Sorry.
please.
It'll be
Sorry.
over by then.
It'll be over by then. Yeah, we won't be able to get across town.
Would you all
but
want to
it'll be
try
over by
that,
then.
or?
No.
Does that make, I didn't think so.
No. I
Um,
don't, but I'm 1 of 7 also, so.
I understand. Can I get back with you on a date? What about April 3rd?
Wednesday?
I won't be here.
Okay. What about the 17th?
Wednesday?
I'll make it work.
17th works for me. That's fine.
Works
It's
for
a
me.
Wednesday, which I don't generally do, but maybe the next day where you could vote possibly on executive session, in case things need to marinate.
It's 2 meetings in a week. It's
It
like a
is.
full-time job now.
You're getting highly paid.
When's payday?
Yeah.
I promise you,
You get your raise.
I promise your dinner will be fantastic.
always are.
Wow. Did you hear that, girls?
Is April 17th okay? Okay, all right, so 4/17 at 5:30.
5:30.
April 1st, we will have our special board meeting and presentation. There should not be any agenda items, but it will be at Nelson Wilkes at 11:45. I'll send that to you all in an email as a reminder. Also, a special note of appreciation right now for Nelson Wilkes.
Yes.
And the work that those teachers, those staff, the counselors, and the administrators today, and the team, they've handled a really, really tough thing, and it's not over yet, but really proud of the way they pulled together, and I'm really proud of all the leadership team. I had multiple texts last night from people who said, just send me. Let me know if you need me to go. I was there the first thing this morning and walked Mr. Roach. And just thankful for the way folks pull together for our kids and for our staff. Spring break, we made it. Tomorrow? No, tomorrow afternoon at 3:30. Sorry, yes, you have to work.
Don't jump the gun.
I won't jump the gun. Thank you to our employees and
Yes,
staff.
thank you for a
And
great
happy
semester.
break.
Is that also your update?
That was my update.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Did I get out of order?
Nope.
Okay.
We're good.
All right.
Just move around. All right.
That was it.
Anything else? Break for executive session to discuss